Hello movie interns, I am the movie doctor, and as you can see we've been doing a little remodeling around here at the old office. Got my hair cut. Got my lab coat all nice and pressed, and... Alright, fine! We're doing Ultraviolet. And as you can probably guess, this patient really wasn't one of my favorites, and its history holds nothing to be desired either. Ultraviolet began its life as the brainchild of writer and director Kurt Wimmer, who at the time was riding high on his immensely popular cult movie, Equilibrium. And the Wimmer, as he is called by his fans, had already shown himself to be a pretty decent writer with earlier works such as The Sphere and The Thomas Crown Affair. So it was inevitable that he would want to try his hands at directing another of his own creations. Unfortunately, the result was something between what I can only imagine was originally The Matrix meets Twilight fan fiction. I'm not kidding either. The Wimmer even comes out to say that he wrote Ultraviolet with Milla Jovovich in mind, making the general premise of the movie a giant love letter of sorts. Now that doesn't sound all bad. Milla Jovovich always tries to bring in a decent role, and the Wimmer fared pretty well with Equilibrium, so it couldn't go too badly, right? Yes it could. It could go very badly. But it wasn't necessarily because of the Wimmer, or Leeloo Dallas Multipass. Maybe the film could have been ruined by one other thing. My arch nemesis, Greedy McBottom Line. Yeah, so I tell Miss Claire to go cry to Stephanie Meyer or someone else who cares. It's our screenplay now and... Huh? Yeah. Hello, movie doctor. McBottom. I see you're in the middle of ruining someone else's brand new successful film careers. Only the newest young adult wannabe success story. I'm working with Screen Gems again. Oh, you didn't hand them something else to utterly eviscerate, did you? Of course not. They are a classy company, my friend, with only the highest quality franchises behind them. Screen Gems? Seriously? The same people who gave us great failures like all the Resident Evils, The Covenant, and Legion? Critical failures, yes, but they were all huge financial successes. Hey, they also did the Underworld movies. Yeah, all of them. Even the piss-poor ones. Well, you cannot deny they had some good movies, though. Like Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist. Few and far between, McBottom. That's Mr. McBottom line to you, movie doctor. I wonder what classic masterpiece I ruined this time. Aeon Flux, perhaps? Maybe Star Wars Episode 1, 2, and 3? What, movie doctor? What did I ruin? Oh, you know exactly which one I'm referring to, Greedy. The one you decided to deny early screenings to the critics. The one you edited horrendously so much that the main actress and director were livid at time of release. The one you... Okay, Ultraviolet, I gotcha. Look at the time. I've got an important call to make to a certain author who's about to make me 50 Shades of Loaded. Enjoy your movie. Alright, we might as well get this over with. We open with the title sequence, which actually looks pretty cool. You see all these richly drawn comics depicting this awesome-looking ninja chick in many situations. There's only one small problem. There never has been an Ultraviolet comic. It was completely fabricated for the opening, and that's it. And even the music sounds suspiciously derivative of actual famous comic book opening sequences. Get comfortable, movie interns. It's not gonna get much easier.
Hello.
Hi?
My name is Violet.
Hi, Violet!
And I was born into a world you may not understand.
So Violet explains that this world we wouldn't understand was ruined by an epidemic that caused its infected to manifest vampire-like abilities, including speed, strength, elongated canines, and healing. Thank God there's no sparkling. Unfortunately, it also decreased a human's lifespan to a maximum of about 12 years. Because of these changes, non-infected humans and certain governments began to segregate the infected with markings. Then later internment camps, and soon following, constant testing and annihilation of infected altogether. This brings rise to the infected rebelling against their human counterparts and starting a resistance which leads to the Blood Wars. we meet the leader of the humans and main antagonist, Vice Cardinal Ferdinand Daxus. Yeah, I know. Women must have really tried pretty hard to try to get a good villain name for this guy. So Pope Benedict, Daxus, reveals that he has developed a weapon to wipe out the rest of the Resistance, and that it will be arriving by bike courier? Really? Bike courier. Your most valuable weapon will be arriving by bike messenger. Yeah, that won't blow up in your face or anything. So here we finally meet Violet, played by Mila Jovovich. She's impersonating the real courier so that she can steal the weapon for the Resistance. But since this package is so important, the facility has to make sure that Violet is human, with tests.
Metabolic sensing to make certain your metabolism is within human range.
Pulse, respiration. Just have to make sure you...
Whoa, thanks, Wimmer. I never thought I would actually see Mila Jovovich not sexy.
So, what would happen if one were to fail any of these tests?
Nothing good. Please remove all articles of clothing and proceed into the scanner.
I'm listening. Violet! You're turning violet, Violet! Wow, riveting. Wake me up when they do the anal probe. So after about 15 minutes of testing, Violet finally makes it to her package. But at the same time, the real messenger has just pulled up outside and explains that Violet isn't who she claims.
Dumb son of a bitch. Check my ID. You got a mite.
Uh-oh, her glasses just turned yellow and her vest turned red. Everyone, prepare to get fucked up. Wow, these guys die faster than Rita Repulsa's putties from Power Rangers. One hit anywhere on their bodies, and they just crumble. Violet is able to escape with the help of her utility belt and holographic weapons, and speeds away with the Wii Fit firmly in her possession. But the bad Ministry baddies won't let her get away without a fight, which starts the second big action scene, before the first one even has time to take a breath. This brings me to the first big glaring problem with the film. Much like a lot of the action movies that have been coming out recently, Ultraviolet falls into a similar problem with trying to push some invisible envelope of going over the top with its action sequences. The problem then lies with whoever did the effects for these scenes, because they did a pretty crappy job at creating them. I mean, look at it. Those helicopters look like they were ripped right out of some 80s CGI animated video game. Come to think of it, I've played video games by Lego that were animated better than this schlock. That reminds me, I'm missing something. That's better. Because this is trendy and all the rage, right? Anyway, Violet is able to avoid our impossibly inept bad guy putties and calls up the head of the Resistance, Nerva. Are you that surprised about the name? But unlike his Roman Emperor namesake, this Nerva looks like a Eurotrash Twilight extra who got lost on his way to an emo concert. Oh, and there's this.
The needle in the Shinwago.
Did you catch that?
The needle in the Shinwago.
That sounds tasty. Violet escapes capture for the third time, and once again goes against orders to look at what's in the case. You know, the heads of these big warring factions really don't have any idea how to pick someone reliable, do they? Where she finds that it's not a weapon, it's a child. A human child.
It's not a weapon, it's a child. A human child.
I just said that.
It's not a weapon. It's a child.
Right?
It's both.
Okay, now you're just fucking with us, movie. Seriously, who the hell thought this exchange was a good use of film time? Granted, we did need some exposition to figure out what the heck the kid in the box had to do with the story, but did we have to explain that he was or was not a weapon 3 fucking times?
It's a weapon and a child.
I fucking heard you!
It's a child.
Anyway, Nerva explains that not a weapon human child is actually full of an antigen which is lethal to vampires, but Violet thinks that if it's got bad antigens, then it's got the good type too. So she tricks the resistance and, you guessed it, escapes.
Don't overthink it. Just turns out I was right. And bit the hell out of you.
Yeah, the movie just told us not to overthink it anymore. Alright, about an hour left in this movie. Better turn it on autopilot. So Violet runs into expendable group of baddies number 3, has a completely improbable and pointless action sequence, then escapes from the top of the tallest building in the city to the ground level in a matter of one jump cut. Here, Violet and Kid in a Box are finally cornered and Daxus shows up, telling Violet that the kid is his son. Not believing that for a second, Violet is able to start a car which was only seconds before riddled with gunfire, and escapes for the 6th time and counting. You know, McBottom line, I'm a little confused. What made you think this movie would do so good? You mean besides the obvious sex appeal of Mila Jovovich and non-stop action? Which is completely botched by the Instagramming, the soft focus, and the lens flare crap. Yeah, I think the kid that played 6 may have spilled something on the final reel. So what could make someone want to watch this? Why, because of props, of course. Gimmicks, delicious padding, unexplained nuances that make techies and geeks drool at the thought of wanting more little novelties in their lives. But you don't even give an explanation as to how the technology even works, let alone what half the stuff even does. You just kind of throw it into an action sequence and hope it produces a good outcome. And it doesn't. Well, you're one to talk. You're a doctor and you thrive on expensive-looking instruments to test on patients. Yeah, but if I can do it low-tech, then I will. And the patient is usually happier with the outcome. Gadgets! Whatever. Violet learns through some very awkward conversing that the kid's name is Six. They're really ramping up the originality in the names, huh? And Six is taken to Violet's friend, Garth, who thinks he can engineer a cure from his blood. But that's too boring. Let's get back to some action. Maybe Daxus will deliver. Oh, gunshots. That's good. That's real good. Wait, that's it? Fine. Back to Six and Violet, who seem to be suffering from extreme boredom. You know, come to think of it, I think this is the part that I actually fell asleep when I first watched the film. Five fingers!
Comrade?
I can't read that, Violet. Could you hold it a little closer?
Lover?
Whoa, Violet, he is just a kid.
Wife?
She must be from that show Big Love. They marry young, right? So after one of the most touching scenes in the whole movie, literally just petering out, Garth wakes Violet and tells her that Six isn't deadly to vampires, is dying, and is being tracked. So she decides to get rid of him in a public place, but suddenly has a change of heart and races after him. Six is taken to a gravesite for the vampires and, oh hi Nerva, let's have a sword fight now, huh? Nerva tells Violet that Six is actually deadly to humans, but Violet couldn't care less, because fuck plot, he's my responsibility now, bitches!
Enter.
Enter? Enter what? Enter the dragon? Enter if you dare? Enter Sandman? Okay, it's official. Henchmen in this movie are the lowest form of mook I have ever seen. Ever. They lasted less than a second. 10 vampires. 10 of them. 1 second. Buffy should be calling Violet for pointers right now, because that was clearly the most efficient slaying that I have ever seen. Of course, nothing can beat the most undignified death in a movie in 3, 2, 1... There's a healthy vision you want your film resume to have. Violet calls Daxus, who tells her that Six is actually a clone, which greatly offends Violet's senses, and she races off to kill more bad guys. Daxus then reveals to Violet that the real reason for the human virus is so that he and the Ministry can continue to control the world's population through fear and subjugation.
Very nice, Violet.
And I would have gotten away with it too if it weren't for you and that meddling brat. We get a huge dose of movie trailer footage, and then some poorly done home movies. Oh, no, that's just Violet allowing Six to enjoy his last moments before he dies.
What's that sound, V? V, what's that sound?
It's just the wind.
Just some horrible retro helicopter come to fuck up another scene. Six finally kicks the bucket, and Daxus comes to take him away for autopsy, and shoots Violet, thus ending the movie. Well, that was Ultraviolet. And what's my diagnosis? Ah, damn it. Yes, Violet lives through sheer contrived shoehorn goodsness.
For what? So I could do it all over again.
Oh no, this movie just became a Mobius strip, didn't it?
What?
Isn't it obvious?
No, Garth, it really isn't. Maybe you could explain it to us. Hey, whoa, premature scenery change much, movie?
Why won't you ever let anyone in?
Because
So Violet is sure Six is still alive, and since she is now obviously his long-lost mother, she is gonna need guns. Lots of guns. To save him.
Weapons found. Many.
And after about what seems like another 4 or 5 shoot-'em-up action sequences, some of which they don't even try to show you, Violet meets Daxus for one final showdown.
You got hemo blood on me. It is on.
Greedy? Yeah? I hate you. I know. Daxus reveals that he himself is a vampire and used his superhuman powers to rise to the top much quicker. You know, a pink unicorn could have popped out of Six's ass at this point, and I could be less surprised. And after the most climactic fight sequence ever captured in darkness, Violet rescues Six and... Holy plot problems, movie interns. This one was an ultra shitstorm. From beginning to end, this film suffered from almost every glaring angle. The casting was lame and incoherent, the action sequences were confusing and tedious, and the sheer amount of primary colors gave me a headache from all the squinting I did from watching it. Besides Violet, the characters came in 3 very one-note flavors: expendable, expository, and dead. Those that spoke were either impossible to understand or ADR'd into oblivion. And while Daxus generally was the best character to watch, he had the corniest lines, and I couldn't take him seriously with that pointless nose grill thing. Oh, God. And there was really no story to follow. I mean, sure, there was a general premise, followed by an overboard amount of conflict, and a wrap-up at the end. But the sheer twists and turns the plot took through the film left me banging my head against the wall with frustration. And even though Mila Jovovich had expressed her displeasure of being locked out of editing by Screen Gems and Kurt Wimmer, I have seen her turn in better performances than this one. She just doesn't seem to convey any emotion, even when she tries to smile. But I do give her some credit for coming out against how the movie even turned out. And of course, I would be remiss if I didn't mention the religious symbolism that they just shovel into every scene. Come on and count the crosses with me. Religion. It's bad. For the cringe factor, this one easily gets my worst to date, bringing it in at a 9 out of 10. Even though Violet and Daxus make this movie mildly bearable, I can't recommend this movie to anyone in good conscience without putting my movie doctor's unhealthy movie warning on it. Also, don't watch it if you are a fan of Equilibrium, and are expecting anything even close to what the Wimmer was able to pull with that cult hit. because you won't even come close. Well, thank God that one's over with, movie interns. I am your movie doctor, and I'll see you in the exam room. Red, then blue, then red, then blue, then red again, then seizure!